I doubt the virus will do much.
The virus is small. These are all opinions.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another Tea with Tofco. I'm your host, Tofco, and today we're going to talk about the massive event that has shaken all of Europe, which is, of course, Brexit. And it is a touchy subject, and it has divided the nation. The votes were really that close. We have just left the EU, and so the future holds many uncertainties. With me today, I have some amazing guests who will give their opinion. And I think this podcast is going to go really well. We have some very interesting topics to discuss. But just before we start, I just want to say thank you so much for the support in the last video. Or every like and every comment, I read everyone. And it just meant so much because we put so much effort into making these. If you do like this one, like you did the last one, make sure to give a like. And if you're new here, make sure to subscribe. And if you haven't seen the last video, I will leave a link in the top right corner. Make sure to go check that out too. Okay, so let's introduce our first guest. It is from the guy who did a podcast last time with us, my fellow European streamer, it's Darth Revan.
Hi, Tofco. Thank you for having me, and certainly great to be here.
Yeah, thanks for coming back, Revan. Would you vote leave or remain?
If I'm speaking for my own country, I would want to stay, and if I could speak for Britain, probably also would want to stay, but I can not really speak for that country because I don't live there.
That is a fair enough point. Okay, so our second guest is someone that I met a couple of weeks back. I was looking for someone from Ireland for this podcast. We found someone, a really nice guy. His name is Chinese Obama.
Hello there. Thank you for having me, Tofco. It's really nice.
Yeah, nice to be here and nice to meet you again. Would you vote leave or remain?
So for Ireland, I'd probably just vote remain, but with the UK, probably remain as well.
Oh, there you have it, another Remainer. And finally, we have my boy from Birmingham. It is Gunman.
Yo, what are you saying? It's my first podcast, isn't it? So,
Well, I do bet you're going to be great. Just again, would you vote leave or remain?
I'd vote remain. I don't really see the point in leaving the EU at the moment.
At the moment, so there is a bit of uncertainty there. We will explore that later on.
Yeah.
Right, so getting straight into it. It was 2016. David Cameron let us have a referendum. It backfired on him miserably. I mean, he did lose. He had to resign for it, but the country did vote to leave, so democratically that's what happened. And so I just want to ask our guest, why do you think we left? I mean, I know it was very close, but what reasons do we think we left?
I mean, I don't know the exact reason, but from what I've heard, a couple the EU apparently is sort of corrupt and it's on a decline now. Which apparently even France is going to start a referendum soon as well. That's what I heard. Don't know if it's true though.
Well, as Donald Trump would say, it might be fake news, but we have no idea. That is interesting. Corruption. Yeah.
I've heard people say news articles someone in the UK said the EU is a stupid after school group that people shouldn't join, and it's just bad in general.
What are we talking about? Bad for the economy? Bad for, what kind of bad?
I have no clue. I didn't look at the article. I just read it, the title.
Fair enough. So there was lots of articles saying that that is what's going on. Another major factor, I believe, might have been immigration, and it's not brought up enough, or maybe it's brought up too much. But people voted out because of the many migrants we do get to this country from EU migrants. Anyone have anything to say?
Yeah. Well, the only thing why I thought they left is because the EU, a lot of money goes there. They can't they're not allowed to trade with certain countries, and there were a lot of restrictions that the British people apparently didn't like. So that's one of the main factors why they probably voted for Brexit.
So trading, yeah, because there are trade restrictions when with the EU. Okay, does anyone have anything else, major factors why we might have left?
Yeah, like I don't know if it's the same for the other countries around the British Isles, but like a lot of Polish people moving in, a lot of countries from like mainland Europe. They have loads of people. Yeah, they have a lot of people moving in, and I don't see what's wrong with that. Really, it's kind of stupid if you're voting that for that reason.
Yeah, another reason is because I mean I understand why a lot of people voted to leave is because we have to pay more tax for the EU, and apparently because we've left, we don't need to pay as much as we used to. So there's going to be a bit of money saving up for us, but yeah, with other countries, we are going to have to pay more for items. So it's like it levels it out basically.
Okay, so yeah, there are many reasons. I think that's what we're gathering here. There are many reasons from economy to trade laws to immigration, and it was a big hassle because I believe there were many lies told through that part. There was the infamous bus that got the facts and figures wrong, and leading it were Nigel Farage and Boris Johnson. Many others, but they are the two main headliners. So, what do you think? Were people lied to?
100%.
100%.
Yeah, I mean it's politics. It always happens. They're always trying to get their way by lying, and then somehow that whatever they say doesn't happen.
Yeah, most likely they've been lied to.
It's kind of a high chance they have been lied to, like the others have said.
Yeah, there was a lot of lies, not just from both sides. Politicians are notoriously known for lying. So people went in, they voted. It was very close. Does anyone know the exact figures?
Yeah, it was 52% voted to leave, and 48 remain.
Now that is very close. So that means almost half the country didn't want to go. Although I have heard that the turnout for the vote wasn't that big either. So there was that as well.
Mm. But you know what I hate the most? Huh?
Oh, okay, that's the end of the point. Just what you hate the most. Okay. Sorry, my bad.
No, I was gonna finish it. I thought you were speaking.
No. Please go ahead.
All right. What I hate most is because majority of the elderly are voting, but it's mainly gonna affect the young people, and not a lot of us get to have a say. So they're voting for our future.
That is a great point. We'll move on to that point right now, actually. There weren't, as he just said, the youth didn't really have much of a say because there is a law saying 18 and over. But it is a shame because, as you said, it will be our future that's going to be changed by these massive changes to England, Scotland, and Ireland in general. Oh, and Wales. How can I forget Wales? I love Wales. Okay, yeah. So what do you guys think about that? The fact that youth didn't have that much of a say.
Well, not only that, but like what you said, it will have a great effect on England. But what the politician in England not aren't realizing is that it's also going to have an effect on other European countries who might also now if it goes well, this Brexit, there's I think a big chance that maybe other countries also want to leave. But if it flops, there is a chance there maybe is going to be economic crisis in Britain that's later gonna pull over to Western Europe and Eastern Europe, and then we get another great recession.
That is true. It does affect all countries around, but it does affect every country. I don't think that the UK has got the grasp of that one yet. that if it does fail, we'll be made an example of, and if it does go well, we're also an example that people can leave. But just as you said, moving on to Scotland, where Scotland, they voted largely to remain. So do you feel like it's democratic that they have to come with us? I mean, they are part of the UK in general, I guess.
I mean, that's why they're gonna have the. I mean, that's why I think the SNP they want to have a new vote for whether they want to be independent. Honestly, I hope they become independent because that's what's gonna be good for them.
All right, anyone else have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I'd like to see Scotland independency as well because they've like had a long history with trying to be independent, and then they got a choice to be independent, and they declined, and now they want to be probably independent again. And I think it's the best for the nation than to become independent from England.
Yeah. And then there's obviously Ireland, or Northern Ireland, because there's a massive problem with Northern Ireland with the way that trade will now work between Northern Ireland and Ireland. Does anyone have anything to say to that?
Well, yeah, a couple of people in my class were like, we want to unite Ireland. I was like, but like, it's kind of hard to sustain another whole 6 counties and another 1 million people. And the people are like, oh no, it's going to be a hard border. How's the trade going to go? So they had to like work that out.
Yeah, so it'll be a long workout. Right, but it's been, technically has been worked out because we have just left the EU. So the question is that there was a deal put in place, and the deal made by Theresa May, which didn't get through. Then Boris Johnson has got it through. So what do we think of that deal? Right, but it's been, technically has been worked out because we have just left the EU. So the question is that there was a deal put in place, and the deal made by Theresa May, which didn't get through. Then Boris Johnson has got it through. So what do we think of that deal that's been made? Revan?
Well, Boris Johnson is just the British Trump. We got our own Trump in the Netherlands, so it's probably some shady deal.
Oh, fair enough. Some points of it. Well, there's stuff like law enforcement that has to change now because we have EU laws on law enforcement, data sharing, just loads of laws that we have that will need changing now. So England and the UK in general could look very different now that we've left. Okay, so we are going to move on to another main factor that is immigration, and how much part did immigration play into people's votes?
Well, I have a pretty strong opinion on this because immigration is a problem. It's starting to become a real big problem because now here in the Netherlands, there was a law that said 10% of all immigration people, so people who were like running from war zones or whatever, we had to take 10% of those people. We had to take them in. For countries like Spain, France, and Greece and Germany, that's nothing. They can just easily take it in. But for small countries like Netherlands, Belgium, and whatever, it's just a lot.
So okay. So there was like maybe too much pressure to give those countries that many immigrants.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like people really feel like immigrants are taking jobs and stuff like that. Please carry on your point.
Yeah. The big problem with it is that here in the Netherlands we have something that's pretty annoying. That there's more money and effort put in those immigrants than in our own people, and that's like kind of get people divided in our nation. So it's a real big problem.
Yeah, because in Dublin, in Dublin, there's like a homeless crisis. I don't know what the state of it is at the moment, but last time I heard of it, it sounded really bad. If you go there, you're guaranteed to see like someone with a cup, and because there's not a lot of actual big buildings in Ireland. It's not the biggest country, but it's like, oh, come here. It's pretty jolly over here. But sometimes it's just not really good.
Okay, again, interesting. There has been an overflow of immigrants, and I feel like some people are using that as an excuse just to push it, but there is definitely some problem with immigration. As Revan said, there might be too many overflowing into a country.
Yeah, it's too many, mostly for our country. For the Benelux, so Belgium, Luxembourg, and Netherlands, it's just too much. Yeah, it's too much to take in. Like we have to, like my sister's school. What they would do is literally let those immigrants sleep in like the gym hall and whatever, because there weren't enough spaces to let immigrants sleep and whatever.
Well, I'd say that is a great thing on the school's part to make sure that.
Well, the school didn't have a choice. It was literally just, like the government saying, yeah, they're going to stay there whether you like it or you don't. They didn't have a choice.
It is an overflow crisis. Okay, so we are gonna move on. There is some food for thought there, guys. Write down in the comments what you think of the whole crisis, immigrant crisis. Too many, or is there too less? Are countries not accepting enough, or are they just not caring enough? There are many points, and it could be a whole podcast on its own. Okay, so we are going to move on to the future because this deal is done. This might come up like 2 weeks after the deal. But saying now, what are the predictions for this in general? Like, what are we thinking? What's going to happen next to further EU countries, to Britain in general? I've heard the US has given a trade deal or something, so.
Well, UK, they're like doing it to start their own journey away from like the rest of the EU and become bigger. But like it's kind of hard because Germany at the moment, Germany is popping off. They're doing really well in the economy after like the nearly 100 years of debt they were in, and the UK, they have a lot less strict rules for people working.
Trading is going to be fun because when we trade, in the European Union, you can just trade freely with like less taxes or whatever to pay. And now the UK got to pay like buttload of money to like ship stuff and whatever. So that's going to be quite fun for them.
Yeah, exactly. Like in Morrison's and Tesco's and stuff, will the price of bananas go up all of a sudden, all the fruit and all our imports? Because if so, it will really hit struggling families.
Yeah, because that's my theory. Because there's gonna come like a little crisis or a recession, and that's just gonna like start in Britain, and like a virus just gonna spread over all of Europe, and before you know, everyone is in debt. I know it's gonna happen. I'm pretty sure it's gonna happen.
Well, we do hope for the best, but there does seem to be like if the imports and tariffs are hard and harsh because Europe wants to teach everyone else a lesson on why not to leave, it could get really bad. But luckily for us, there are other trading partners such as China and the US, which have offered deals. And I don't know much about China and the UK's deals, but I do know a bit about the American one. And there was this massive crisis, especially from the left wing, about Trump stealing the NHS. And I don't know if you guys have read about this at all.
No, I haven't read anything about it.
Okay, what about you, China's Barman?
No, I haven't read anything about that.
Right, so there was this thing that. 1 minute, sorry. Right, guys, I'm just having a cup of tea. I have a cup of tea, so yeah, we are true on this channel. We do have tea with Tofco. There is tea with me. It is all true, unlike James Corden's karaoke. So there is that. So yeah, it was the US wanted access to the NHS in a post-Brexit deal. So they want to have more access. The price of drugs could go up, so it could cost us more to give medicine now, which isn't a great thing. Because obviously the NHS is one of our shining lights in England, the fact that we have free healthcare. And for prices of stuff like insulin to go up could really affect the country.
Yeah, because like healthcare stuff shouldn't be like really expensive like it is in the US, and if it goes up in other countries, it's going to really affect the people there, and then the people aren't going to be happy with the decision and probably do something about it.
Yeah, what Chinese Obama says, they're probably not going to be. They're not happy with it. I know they're not going to be happy with it. They're like all big investors are then going to leave England to like other European countries and go further with their business there, and then before you know it, they are in a crisis with food, healthcare, and everything.
Yeah, and people are actually stocking food. If you haven't seen the photos, I will put some on right now for you guys to see. But there have been many articles about people stocking food in case of riots. I don't know if that's far-fetched. What do you guys think? Could it get that bad?
I think I think like it's kind of bad that people are getting scared that the stuff that bad could happen because of deals that are happening in between like a couple people about like giant land masses.
What about you, Revan? Could it get that bad in England or all of Europe? I mean, all of the UK.
Yeah, well, this is certainly one of the most biggest events of like this century, probably. Well, not the biggest, because we got like in the beginning of 2020 we had that entire Iran US thing.
Yeah, that is big, but it didn't escalate. Thank God.
Yeah, luckily it didn't escalate. Yeah, it could have been like way worse, but I think every nation is going to be affected by this Brexit, not only Britain. Just the entire structure is going to be changed after this.
Yeah. So instead of thinking of a negative light, let's move on to a positive light. What if we do get some good trade deals and everything does go well? And we do get the promises of more money into the NHS, more money into the economy in general. What do you think that means for Europe and the EU?
Well, I don't know exactly what you meant with money, but you know, uh, probably it will. Well, if it goes fine and everything will go fine, that means that other countries are going to take notice. They're going to see, oh my God, if you go out of the EU, it isn't that bad, and you could be way more independent. And before you know it, like I'm pretty sure then, like the first countries that would go is probably Greece, because they still are largely in debt.
They are very in debt to the other countries.
Yeah, so it's probably Greece or some other like country that's not doing too well, like Poland or whatever. But I think it's gonna have a major effect on Europe.
Yeah, I agree. We're having our new like Prime Minister Taoiseach votes coming up, and if like a certain person wins and they're like, oh, Brexit was good, why don't we do Exit or something?
In the Netherlands, then we have a in the Netherlands, then we would have a Nexit, and yeah, Nexit, and the problem with that is we already in our parliament we have a group that is becoming very big recently. They've gotten a lot of attention, a lot of new voters. They have modern ideas, and one of those ideas is also going out of the EU, like scrap the euro and stop immigration and keep the Dutch culture. And like some things they say is pretty good. They want to change our school system, and I would be fondly, I would want that because I hate our school system. But the other things for our Europe, like leaving Europe, leaving Europe, it's not a good idea. And I think, and I think if an exit would happen in my country, it's probably gonna affect us way more.
Yeah, okay. So, any other points or stuff that you feel like I might have missed that you do want to talk about? Just little things that I might have gone over.
Well, we could talk a bit more like about the economic crisis that I think is gonna happen. I'm pretty sure it's gonna happen. because the stocks, I think all the stocks are gonna rise up, and I'm afraid that it's just gonna affect all of us, and before you know, we're just in like one big crisis.
Another recession kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And then we're all gonna be like Greece, and then have almost no money. Then we're all gonna probably be in debt to the USA, and they're gonna most likely then gonna take advantage or whatever.
And just sell us all McDonald's for the rest of our lives or something.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, but we're all bad.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
the US would take advantage of that situation, like how they do it most situations, because it's a pretty greedy country over there. They just hog a lot of money and don't really spend it on necessary stuff. Like that one time, they spent nearly $3 trillion on military.
On the military. I mean, we have a very impressive military.
But I don't think it will not only be USA who will take big advantage. Most likely China is going to take advantage no matter what. Because what I've seen, China is growing bigger and bigger. It's insane. Their economy is going better. Well, of course you have the virus there now, so it's going a bit lower. But still, it's
I doubt the virus will do much, but
yeah, but still, it's piling up. And I think
The virus is small.
that they're already calling it the Asian century. They're gonna take advantage, probably maybe gonna try and spread communism or whatever. Can you imagine that? Just imagine all of Europe being communist. Yeah, that would be great.
I mean, if it gets bad enough, then maybe so, but that is going off the rails a bit. Okay, I do want to talk about something I just read the other day. Kind of disturbing note. I think it was Nottingham. It was some apartment flats, and someone has stuck a poster on every door saying, "We're calling it Brexit Day," and then saying, "No more people. If you can't speak English, don't come here. Like you have to speak English now." And it was just really disturbing and jarring because if that's the thought process that some people have, then it really worries me for
That's pretty racist.
the next couple of years.
That's really racist.
It is really racist because you do find, and if that's the kind of stuff that we're getting, then you really don't want that kind of stuff to get worse. So, what do you think about that?
Well, people have their own culture. People have their own language. It's something that they hold dear. It's something that makes them a person, what makes them themselves, if you know what I'm saying. And like trying to ban that, it's not going to be great. And I'm most definitely there are going to be like revolts or whatever. No, well, not revolts, but like big protests.
Yeah. What about you, Chinese Obama?
It's kind of disgusting saying if you don't speak this language, you can't be here. It's like if there's a British person living in my estate, then I go over and knock on the door. I say, I speak this in Irish. If you don't speak this language, get out. Get out.
Yeah, it's just really disgusting here, isn't it? And hopefully we don't see much more of that, but I have a bad feeling that we might do. Okay, yeah, let's have a final point just to wrap up. And this is a very interesting one that affects most people personally, because we like to travel to Europe a lot. Like everyone goes to Spain in the summer, and stuff like that. But I've heard that we'll have to get visas now, which should take an awful lot of time. Like imagine I've had to get visas to go to stuff like Pakistan or further out than that. And you do find that visas take quite a long time to get a hold of. So if we're gonna have to get a visa for everything, for the Euro train, for the planes, you might cut down on English and Scottish and Welsh and Northern Irish people all around. The problem is I keep on saying English instead of UK, so I have to include everyone else. It's terrible. Mind me. Anyway, we will have to do that. We'll have to get visas and stuff, and it might cut down on the amount of UK people you see around Europe.
It's gonna really suck for like people who have a job, have a job on one side of the border in Ireland, and then one on the other side, like their home, because they're gonna have to go through there every day, get the passport checked. They're gonna have to get the visa just for like a 2 kilometer trip.
Yeah, that's really gonna suck for Irish people. Well, probably also gonna suck for you guys. Not only you guys, but also for us, because now it means if we want to go to England, because England is like the next big like country or
I don't know why you'd ever want to come to England, but yeah, sure.
no, I've been to England. It's great, but it's like one of the biggest English speaking countries next to the USA.
That's true, yeah.
And a lot of work, a lot of great schools, education is there, and like having visas and whatever. Some people are just not going to get allowed in, probably because they're from a different race, like people from Middle East or Asian somewhere. They're probably just going to be most of them rejected because of the race. Yeah, it's probably it's really sad and really racist, but we can't stop it.
Yeah, I watched this YouTuber, and he made a stream. He was playing this game. It was about Brexit, and so you're a French man, and like there's like a British guard who's really racist to you. You have like your own terrible apartment because that's what they gave you, and it's hard to get a job, and like the job you do get.
What kind of game is this? I'm like, you better send me a link after this. That is crazy. I've never heard of such. Oh god.
I don't know the name. I'll try to find it for you, but like it's a little sad because everything's just like sucks. Your job is like what are they called at the at a club, a bouncer, and like yeah, and like sometimes people come up and push you around, and, like shut up and like you froggy, and like it's pretty bad, and that could be a reality, and I wouldn't want that to happen.
Yeah, you feel like racism or just bigotry in general will go up by a lot but we don't know. Maybe the future is bright. We all do sincerely hope that it is bright for our safety. I do not want to be fighting an old granny at Morrison's for a can of beans. If that is the case, then I might as well move country. I've heard Canada's nice.
Well, not only that, but it's gonna be if it's gonna be positive for Britain, there are still some negative parts that comes to it, and if it's gonna be negative for Britain, and I'm pretty sure it will be negative for Britain, then it's gonna be negative for everyone.
Yeah, that is a good way to end it. So we are going to end there. If you wondered where my friend from Birmingham left, he had to unfortunately go halfway through. But I do thank him for coming. It was nice having him. Darth Revan, again, it's just every time you come on, I think you bring a different element that people from the US and the UK cannot give. So thank you for coming. I will see you next time.
Yes, thank you for having me, Tofco, and I'd like to be on the next one as well. See you later.
See ya. Right, and Chinese Obama, this was our first one, and I hope you enjoyed it. It was nice having you as well. A different kind of insight again to my insight.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's pretty nice.
yeah, it's nice to talk
So
about.
thanks for bringing me on. I'll see you later as well.
Yeah, I will see you next time. Thank you for coming. Right then, we are going to wrap it up. This podcast has been a bit more all over the place because I believe that's what you guys wanted it. Less interview, more just social talking. So hopefully I've given you that. The information was a bit everywhere, but as you know, we just have the information that we're given. So just like any other citizen, some kids read the newspaper. Some people just get their information from one newspaper. Some people get it from the internet. Information is everywhere. Some of it's misinformed. Some of it's right. I do hope you enjoyed this one. It's a long subject. We might have to make another one on it. So anyone who's in England, I've done it again. England, Scotland, Northern Ireland, Wales. Hopefully Brexit will go great for us. Hopefully the rest of Europe will see that. We don't know. Leave your opinions on would you vote, leave or remain. Anyone that's in this video, if they have a YouTube channel, their link is in the description. And finally, I just want to thank my editor again, AnAppleinABox. You loved his editing last time. He was really touched by that, and he is going to carry on doing my editing. His channel is also in the link in the description. Make sure to go check him out too. Right, that is everything from me. Sorry it has been a bit long-winded, but we are still finding our feet on this channel. This is Tea with Tofco. I was your host, Tofco, and I do hope you enjoyed it. Goodbye for now.